So, welcome back to the train set. As you'll notice, we've still got the top two lines are going. I've also got the third one, which we saw all this coming together last time. Still waiting on my little track screws coming so I can put this track down properly, but that'll happen. Let's look at what I've been doing. So if I zoom right in here, so I noticed then as I ran one of the other trains that has front and back bogies coming up and down here, it was derailing here and here, it was coming off. So I've mixed up a bit of my sawdust that I've been saving and some PVA glue, took up the cork in them two bits and just made it more of a even slope, not level but even, so we took out a bit of that it had to it, and that solved my derailment problem. Other thing I've done, all this board now I've tidied up, so we're ready to put in the heritage line at this side and the branch line. I have wired up the branch line now, so this will work. There's not a lot of track at the moment. Being very careful how far I take it. But as I build track on now, I have got some, I can actually test it, which is a good thing. So that wire goes all the way from one end to the end of the L shape that comes out. I've also, you'll notice we've now got 4 lines going in here instead of the 3. So the 4th line is connected, and I've built this little shelf coming out for the 2 controllers, so I can have everything going. So next up is I'm going to be getting the heritage line coming all the way around from here to meet back up here, so it'll be one big loop. For those interested, so far there to there is approximately 28 foot, and I think I'm going to be adding about the same again, so it's going to be actually quite a massive loop. So as I start getting track down and start getting some gradients, we'll have some more looks at things. And as I do the slope this time on this end, we'll actually go through all the process of it. Right, quite a few bits have changed. So let's go through what we've been doing. Might have to move the camera halfway through this. So this area I've altered slightly, so we still come through as we did before, so we can go up and down through this to what will be the main platform station for through. No change to this terminating platform. This one for the branch line though, I've changed a lot. So we still have both, from the outside will come in, and we have where it can go off into the branch line, but I've added a diamond crossing in so we can continuously come down from this side and then go into the branch line, which if I spin us to there, it could come into what will be the heritage line. So this, or there's going to be a little bit of industrial off to here. So coming back, we also have the heritage line now got two runoffs, so we can have two trains engines parked up for whatever reason. But then this comes round. Obviously this isn't what will be holding up, this is just for while I've been getting everything in position. Come round, and then we'll have another slope. Can we move around any further? No, I don't think we can. So we'll have another incline all the way from here. Can we get the other side in? Yeah, so we come down with the incline, same as what we did on the other board. But when we get to here, this will be the second station. So this has to be maintained at a level. And then we want to be going back to zero by the time we get to down here. This is the first time I've actually joined everything together, so I thought it was a good time to catch up with things. Right, I'm going to have to take us off the stand. I did move all this so I could put some cork down, because we run better on cork, but there's now not the right amount of space as we come out here. I wanted this to come out of a tunnel and come round, so I'm going to have to move this about 6 inches here for the straight part before we start that curve round. So we'll have come out of a tunnel, then we'll have the heritage line will run between these two under a bridge and things going on. So I'll get that moved, and then, as I promised, we will look in a lot more depth at making the inclines. Incline will start here and end here. It's taking into account the station, which is 3 foot. We have 11, 14... about 14 foot to play with, so we actually have 2 foot more than we did on this incline. So I'll get my track a bit nicer ready, and then we'll start building things. So I'm starting the process of mapping out for all starting into the heritage line. These are the parts that will be at the same height all the way as the station, because it curves and points, so I don't want to mess about on them. So I've got like 5 pieces, and I've been as economical as possible with this piece of wood. As you can see, there's not a lot of gaps for 5 pieces. So what we'll have is, this is part 1, so that goes up to literally the joining the track. Part 2 is these 2 curves. Part 3 will be these 2 points and the last curve. Then we have part 4 for these 2 curves, and part 5 for this little straight and this point. I don't need to cut one for here, because we've got this piece of wood that I cut originally for in here, which has been replaced. This piece is being replaced because it makes sense to just have a bigger piece there. And as you can see, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how they correspond, and I've given myself little markers which way around they are. So that's a job for tomorrow night, because it's 8:30 at night and my neighbours have a little burn, and I don't want to start power tools at this time of night because it's not fair. So that's first job on my Friday night's job list for the train set, is cutting these bits of wood, getting some legs, 3 inches each, and hopefully we can have this in place tomorrow night, and then that'll set me in a good position to start doing all the incline, running all the way around. And we'll probably, at the same time we're cutting this, get another piece of plywood cut for where the station's going to be, and so we can, that's ready when I decide how high it's going to be. Right, so as you can see, I've got my 5 pieces of wood cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This line isn't great because I've not got the right height of polystyrene for it everywhere. But here, these are inch pieces of polystyrene. So 3 of them, I've got my 3 inch, and it's pretty much spot on where I wanted it. And it will run nice and smooth. Oops. Along. So next up, I'm going to get the legs on. So just 3 inch bits of wood cut to hold it all in place. It'll be a lot neater without the polystyrene. And then we're starting to do all the incline, which will go from here to approximately here. With a flat bit for the station there, which I'll get cut as well. So when I start on the incline, we shall cut them back to things. Right, I'm at a stage where I'm going to be starting to cut lots of polystyrene for this incline. As you can see, I've now got these parts in place to hold this all at the right height. It isn't fixed to the board yet, but it's all in where it will be. So this riser, it needs to go to 1/2 inch, which is here, because I want it to be on a bit of an embankment, because we're going to run a canal eventually at that side, so I want it looking down. So that's the aim. We have to get to 1/2 inch here, and that is from here, so we're 3.5 inches here. So I've planned out already, putting a bit of polystyrene in, so it'll be like 3 inches. And can we see that? Yes, I can walk around. So I've cut some blocks. These are 3 inches thick. These are each an inch, so I've stuck 3 together, so I can cut these through along here. Not in a good place. At this point, it wants to be 2 inch. So if we go from the 3.5 inch to the 2 inch, it's going to be at 2.1% incline, which is nice. Then we go from 2 inch to where the station will be. So we've got 1 inch, and I put a bit of plywood, which is about 1/2 inch. So we're 1.5 inches there. So we've got, I think it's 2.8 roughly percent incline there. Probably level out a bit close to the bit lower. Gonna have the station here, so I need to cut a piece of plywood, put it on inch long legs, and probably have it slightly longer. And then we go around to the other side at 1 inch, which over 3 foot is a 2.7% incline. So everywhere is going to be below 3%. I bought myself, as you can see, I'm struggling for space now, just a really cheap polystyrene cutter. Got a block, the first block ready to go in. I've marked where it wants cut. Really easy. Done. And we've got the first block in place. So I'm going to get all this polystyrene cut. Might catch up a bit as we go along. Doesn't all have to be touching, because we're then going to be putting hardboard on top of the polystyrene. So we'll keep catching up throughout the morning. So this isn't actually taking me very long at all. It's taken me maybe half an hour to cut this polystyrene. As you can see, it's very rough. I'm using little offcuts just to make up difference in heights. So, but this I'm happy with. We're at this is to 2 inches. I'm testing as I go. So we can see there's very little flex in the track. There's going to be some because nothing's secured down, but there's very little flex. I'm at low power and I'm going up and down that incline from 3.5 inch to 2 inch in 5.5, maybe 5.5 foot. No problem. So really happy with that. So I'm going to get the rest of this polystyrene down across the rest of the line to the 1/2 inch point. I'm going to put the station in place and then we'll have a look at all of it in place before I start cutting hardboard. Right, I've got all the polystyrene in place all the way around. Train's just trundling round and round in loops, so I'm happy with it. Going round at low power, which is what we want. We don't want to have to be cranking it up. You'll notice I've got what will be the station area in place. So that's boards in now. That's secured. All this polystyrene is cut all the way around. Nice incline, nothing too crazy, so coping. So my next point I need to do is to get all this polystyrene glued to the board and then start cutting hardboard. So I'll get this glued, leave it a couple of hours to dry, get some hardboards mapped out, and we'll have a look at that stage. Right, so the polystyrene is dried in place. So I'm now cutting the hardwood. This was recycled from replacing the kitchen cabinet, so it hasn't cost me a penny. So this side is a lot easier than the other side. So I'm just cutting a lot of strips at 1 3/4 inch, which I'll do for all the straights. So it'll do for this straight, the tiny bit at the top of the track in between the two curves, and all this straight at the bottom. So I'll cut about 4 strips of that and that'll be plenty. Then for the curves, all I need to do is where I put my marker pen, is because for this part it's literally just 4-second radius 90-degree turns, so I only need to take out one for measuring. Just draw round, fairly tight. Then repeat. And I've already got one side of the curve, so I'm just can always trim down the top parts again. I'm not a woodworker, so my woodworking skills are not great, but all I'll do is follow the lines with my jigsaw, and that will give me my four curves I need along with my straights. So I'll get all these cut. I'm not going to show you how to cut stuff because 99% of you will be able to do woodwork a lot better than me. This is just my solution to not buying loads of the Scenics one for risers because I'm not willing to pay that money. So I'll get all this cut, all stuck down when we'll have another look, because once that's dry we'll be ready to put bandages on. Oh, while I'm at it, I do need to get this sealed in place so it doesn't move around, but I need to move the legs it's on because they will interfere with the point motors when I fit them. So we'll also be doing that at the same time. So my plywood is all dried in place now. So now I'm going around putting plaster over the top. These are literally bandages. So very simple. This is just the first layer I'm doing. I've just got a container of water, getting them nice and wet. Laying them over and letting them drape. There's not a lot I can do on this side. Just trying to make it drape as much as possible, not to be hitting into the sides. Then I'm just gently rubbing water over. Which helps smooth some of this plaster somewhat. It will need more than one layer of things doing. This is just the first layer I'm getting on. But we get this sort of crumply effect. Okay. The second piece. Nice and wet. Just let it drape down, creating its own natural hillside. Being fabric, it's going to naturally create some creases. This top bit's not great, but when we do the second layer, I'll be able to sort this out somewhat. And I'm just going to carry on with this all the way around and then leave it overnight to dry. Like, this is probably going to be a 2, 3, possibly even 4 day process. On the other side, it took me about 4 days, I think, 4 or 5 days to do the whole of that side. And it's not perfect, so I'm going to get this a bit better first go. So I think we'll have a look at everything down after we've done the first layer. Right, I just wanted to show what I'm doing now. All this plaster cloth bandage has been put round, and this has had about 14-15 hours drying time. It's not fully dry, but it's dry enough for my next stage. Some people say about putting 2 layers of bandage. I'm not, because I've had no problem on the other side with 1 layer. Once it dries really hard. But what I am doing, I've mixed up, I would have mixed up some just normal plaster, but when I moved in, this was in my cellar. So I've mixed them up. It's very thin, as you can see. And I'm literally just going along, painting it on, and it's filling all these little holes left from the bandages. Nice and simple. I'm using a really cheap brush, plastic container. I don't mind being rubbish. It's the same one that I actually used for all this cloth that went on. And I'm literally going to go around the entire hillside doing this. I may come back and have a look afterwards and have to do some parts of it a second time, but that's okay. As I said, this isn't fully dry when I've started, but because it's just plaster I'm putting on top of plaster, I'm not too worried. It's dry enough for my purposes. So I'm going to continue getting all this done, and I will let you know if I've had to do a second coat, which I think I probably will in a couple of places. Right, so I've finished going back over this with, as it ended up at mine was plaster filler, but any sort of plaster of Paris use, watered down. I've ended up going over some of it twice to make sure it's full. It's now dry, so I'm ready to paint it brown, and I've just used cheap paints, pound a bottle, couldn't get it brown, so I've mixed a full red, full green and half a black. While I was putting the filler down, I went back to this side because I noticed we could see some holes in this because I hadn't done the filler on this side, so I've just given it a coat around on this side as well. You'll notice everything's tidied up in both of them as well. So I'm now going to do the brown all along this stink line all the way to the far corner. Also going to get the station painted at the same time. You'll notice there's 2 wires popping up. They're just for power for the line, extra power, because I think I worked out it's about 58 foot, so I like to have 2 power sources on them, just to make sure it's nice and steady. And I'm going to paint this entire board into the brown, the centre part, because a lot of it's going to be a hill anyway, so it might as well get out the way now. So, literally, big jar of this paint I've mixed up, and I'm literally just going to go over like that. And that's all I'm going to do. I like doing the brown because whatever I do over this, we've got a good base, getting rid of all this white. So I think once we've got the brown all coloured, we'll be able to have our next... Oops, we didn't even see me doing that. But I'm just putting the brown over all this. So once brown's all down, let it dry, and then we'll come back and we'll be putting cork down. Right, so this has all had... Oops, that shouldn't be happening. This has all had approximately 48 hours of drying now. If we tap, you can... How that's dried, really happy with that, and I love the effect that we get by using these bandages. It gives this sort of natural ripple that you get with actual hand, instead of some of these bought ones that you see that are very uniform. So I like this, everything's very natural looking. I've put the track down, it's all loose, 1 or 2 screws just for where it's really bouncy. But next thing I need to do is get the cork down, and then can start fixing the track down in place, which will take out some of the kinks, some of the unevenness, some of the bouncy parts. Things will run a lot smoother. Just for reference sake, I'm not going to do on camera cutting loads of cork and sticking it down. I do mine at 3.6 centimetres, and when I've got a curve to do, I just cut it in half roughly down the centre, so I've got enough slack to bend it. This side is a lot easier than the other side because it's all straight lines or second radius curves. There's no dog legs that I've got to cut for. A couple of points to put in, but I've got my technique down for what I'm doing with them now. So I'll get the cork down. We'll maybe have a look at me doing one of the points, what I'm doing. Get it all secure, and we'll have a final look at things. Probably put the camera on and maybe have a run through and things, because I do like doing that.